Whispers rolled through hallways, spreading faster than wildfire. Professor Daniels. Vanessa. Ruth. The hearing. Students huddled in clusters, trading stories as though each carried a piece of a scandal too big to hide. For Ruth, the noise felt far away. Her world had shrunk to a single prayer repeated over and over as she walked to the hearing once again. Lord, fight for me. The disciplinary boardroom was packed this time, the air thick with tension. Professors sat stiffly, their reputations on the line. Students peered in through the half-open doors, hungry for spectacle. Ruth stood at the center of the storm. Her palms were damp, but her back was straight. Across the table, Professor Daniels sat with forced composure, his charm gone, his eyes sharp with quiet panic. The chairperson cleared his throat.
New evidence has come to light.
A hush fell over the room. The board secretary placed a folder on the table. Inside were assignment records, matching handwriting, timestamps, and login details. The truth spilled across the pages. Vanessa had been submitting assignments under Ruth's name, copying her style carefully but leaving trails she thought no one would notice. Gasps filled the room. Ruth's chest rose as if she had been underwater for weeks and finally broke the surface. Daniels shifted uncomfortably, his jaw tightening. The chairperson's gaze turned cold.
Professor Daniels, your involvement in altering grades has also been brought into question. We cannot ignore these reports.
The weight shifted. For the first time, Ruth was no longer the accused. She was the witness. Back in room 312, Vanessa sat on her bed, knees pulled to her chest. Her phone buzzed endlessly, messages, calls, threats, but she ignored them all. When Ruth walked in, silence swallowed the room. Their eyes met, and for once, Vanessa's was stripped bare. No eyeliner, no smirk, no glittering armor. Just a trembling girl who had run out of masks. You don't get it, she whispered, voice cracking. I had to survive. Those men, those deals, they gave me everything I have. And still, it's nothing. Nothing feels it. Ruth set her books down quietly, her Bible resting on top. Vanessa, you never envied me for my grades. You envied my peace. The words cut deeper than any accusation. Vanessa pressed her face into her palms, sobbing quietly for the first time in Ruth's presence. Daniels was suspended indefinitely, pending a full investigation. Vanessa's name was dragged into campus gossip so brutally that even her sponsors pulled away, fearing exposure. Her designer bags and glittering shoes no longer looked like trophies, they looked like evidence of a game that was collapsing. Ruth, cleared of all charges, walked across campus with her head high. Students whispered still, but the tone had changed. Some admired her courage, others resented her faith. But Ruth no longer carried the weight of their opinions. Her only prayer was whispered thanks, you carried me. That night, room 312 was a different place. The shopping bags in Vanessa's corner were shoved aside, some half-empty, some ripped. The desk lamp glowed faintly over Ruth's open Bible as she studied quietly, her voice humming a soft hymn. Vanessa sat by the window again, but this time without a cigarette. Her face was bare, her hair wrapped simply, her eyes swollen from tears. She looked at Ruth for a long moment before finally speaking. Do you ever wish you could just trade places with me? Just for one night. Ruth looked up, her eyes kind but steady. No. Because all I ever wanted was peace. And that's something you can still have. But you'll have to choose it. Vanessa let the words sink in. For once, she didn't roll her eyes or laugh it off. She just nodded faintly, as if storing them away for a time when she might be brave enough to believe them. Weeks later, Ruth stood in church, her voice lifted in prayer among the choir. She wasn't perfect, and her grades still required endless work, but she was free. Vanessa didn't disappear, she was still on campus, quieter, her steps slower, her phone less often in her hand. People still gossiped, but she seemed less concerned with what they thought. Sometimes, late at night, Ruth still heard her crying softly at the window. But sometimes, she also heard her whisper a clumsy prayer, words half-formed but real. Room 312 had been a battlefield. But in its silence, seeds had been planted, one watered by envy, the other by faith. Only time would reveal which would grow.